Coffee's still real hot.
You're gonna...
I think that's the title of this episode. Let me write that down so I don't forget.
It's Bobo and Willa are my OTP. That's the title of this episode.
No.
What is it? Wilbo?
Yes, yes.
Oh my god, they're disgusting. Okay, anyways.
But also very well suited to each other. But probably because he's, it's Stockholm syndrome and he's been grooming her since she was a kid. And it's all very disturbing.
Let's start the podcast.
Yeah, here we go. There's something in the air. Welcome back to There's Something in the Air, a spoiler-filled Wynonna Earp podcast where we ride the Earpsplain train and talk about all things Earper. Today, let's see, we're going over episode 113, the season finale for season 1. It's called I Walk the Line. You are here with BP.
Michelle.
And Monica.
And we finally figured out the order that was going to happen in.
I mean, how many episodes is this? Like 20? Like, it's time.
It's close to 30.
It's time.
No 5-second awkward pause between names.
It always gets deleted. Nobody knows.
I know. But I was, I'm saving you 3 seconds of time, BP, in the editing. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
I'll take it back by talking over everybody later.
That's fair.
This is my promise to you.
Okay, so let's see. Starting off, we're back at the party, and this episode has one of my favorite lines of the entire series, which is, "Not now, Alan."
I thought it was really interesting because Bobo gave his speech about how all of them were going to slowly go bonkers because of the amount of champagne, and Champ was already foaming at the mouth because he drank a bottle and a half by himself. And then we start this episode and everybody is just foaming at the mouth and completely lost it.
Well, it's it's psychosomatic. It's like when someone tells you look like you're getting sick, you feel like you're getting more sick.
Well, I was just well, that escalated really quickly.
Foam City.
I like that the previous Leon reminded me of my favorite accessory of season 1, which is Bobo's rubber opera gloves.
What in the world? I noticed that again and I was like,
hey baby,
why?
Let's walk through the town and then maybe we're gonna birth a calf. Whatever. Also, speaking of the poison, what the fuck? What does this poison do? Does it just make them all wacky?
It looks like it just gives them rabies.
Oh. Rabies poison.
It's supposed to kill them though, right? Eventually?
I think they eventually kill themselves.
Everything. Okay. Michelle, what did you say? I couldn't hear you because I was talking over you. I made a promise.
I think that the point of the poison was that they go crazy enough to the point where they kill themselves because all of them have they scratch their eyes and shit, and that was all self-inflicted. So I think it makes them go crazy and hurt themselves.
That makes sense because the dude in the hamster box in the Buffalo Bill episode stabbed himself.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. I like this random chick in the yellow who's in every scene this episode, but we don't know her name.
Does she ever get to speak?
Oh yeah, she speaks every time. They bring it it's always the same lady that's freaking out in the front of the crowd.
That's because you have to pay somebody more if they have lines, I think.
Here's a 20. Please say something.
I like that Doc and Dahl's solution is to toss Wynonna out the second story window without knowing what was below.
Head first! You make it so she's hanging on from the window, and then she drops. You don't throw her out head first. I don't care if she's the goddamn Earp Bear. Also, it's cold outside. Remember, walking umlaut, and she's just wearing that really, really amazing dress.
I was like, what if you accidentally killed her?
It looked like they were actually just trying to throw her to the building next door. Here's another window. Go right on through. But I think the caption said body falls in snow.
You really I try and respect what you guys talk about on this podcast, but you've got to stop bringing up the closed captioning.
Well, at least
Because
the-
you
I
don't
have to find out who does these.
Because you don't see the snow. You're making an assumption. You're
Yeah.
giving away too much from the sound. A more accurate description would be thud or body thuds.
I mean, that's fair. Maybe well, I don't think Game of Thrones had aired yet. So, like, maybe he's just, like, pulling a Theon and jumping off the side of Winterfell.
Spoiler alert.
Dude, it aired, like, a year ago.
I'm 3 seasons behind. And so it's
Also,
your
are you talking about Tommen in King's Landing?
No, Theon and Sansa, like, to escape Winterfell, they, like, jump off the
Oh,
side
yeah.
into, like, the snowbank.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to There's Something on the Wall, a spoiler-filled podcast about Game of fucking Thrones, apparently.
It's about people
That's a
jumping
new
off
spiral.
of buildings.
That is a new spiral. Nice job, guys.
I like to diversify.
I read all the books, but I'm behind on the show.
Never read a book.
Ever? Any kind?
Nope.
Explains
Nope,
so
no book.
much.
No, just I've never read Game of
I would listen to the audiobooks at work, and it was like a month and a half of like nonstop listening at work. Like, it's so long.
Chris does the Goodreads challenges, and so she'll be like, okay, I'm going to read this Game of Thrones book, and it takes like 4 months. Like, they are dead, so she's like, well, shit, now I have to read, like, 3 Carrie Fisher autobiographies to make up for it, because those go much quicker. Oh. I feel like we're maybe getting a little bit off topic.
No.
Does anybody expect us to
No.
actually stay
Oh.
on topic?
No, that's true. But I do want to name my next punk band, because I've obviously had several Body Thuds, because that's pretty... I kind of got stuck on that.
That's what happened. Whatever. I think that Doc and Dolls in this moment at the party, after they launch Wynonna into the building next door, after they launch her into Purgatory,
Kirsten!
Kirsten's there, and she's like, has like a big net. She's like, I sensed something was going to go wrong.
I knew I needed to catch you. I think this is the beginning, like, where their relationship starts to turn. Like, here and in the station when they're opening the safe. But, like, this is kind of where you see it. See it for me, that's what I felt like.
Oh yeah, definitely. It goes from like hostility to like being bros.
Less hostility.
Hostility with just a hint of mutual admiration and respect. Just a hint.
Yeah. They're so funny in this initial scene, though, because they're just, like, waving guns around, even though they said they're not going to shoot anybody. And there's, like, 20 people trying to pile on them. Like, that's just in the, immediate vicinity. There's, like, 100 people in this room. And I really kind of just didn't understand what they were trying to do, or really how they got out of there, to be honest.
I didn't either. I was like, are you just walking around like pistol whipping people in the head?
Hey, dude, whatever it takes.
Everybody has a concussion. Oh.
I mean, she told them not to shoot anyone. She didn't say not to concuss them.
It's true.
It's true. You have to be specific.
I realize this is a controversial statement, and we kind of talked about this off air, and then started shouting, "We need to record!" Bobo and Willa's relationship is extremely fucked up. Just gonna put that out there. I understand that it's fucked up on, like, every single possible level you can think of. My cat is getting very agitated by this Bobo and Willa talk. But, like, he really cares about her. Again, super fucked up. In his, like, whatever love he is capable to have, I feel like Willa gets all of it.
I really like how both Juan Carlo and Waverly are like, Stockholm Syndrome, motherfucker.
Yes.
Like, this isn't like love. This is like psychological abuse.
Correct. On Willa's part. I mean...
But see, the weird part is, I think that she's less capable of love than he is.
Agreed.
Oh.
She supposedly loves him, but she really doesn't give a fuck about him either.
She doesn't.
In a weird way, he's the one getting, like, screwed over.
Well, that's like at the end there where Wynonna's like, hey, your boyfriend's not going to make it. And she's like, I don't give a fuck.
He's
I'll find someone else out there.
He's definitely way more into her than she is into him.
Well, she's like the most conceited bitch.
Yes.
And like, I kind of understand her motives because, like, the town just, like, shits on the Earps all the time. But, like, also, maybe, like, you're at an 11, maybe dial it back.
They I typed in all caps that Willa and Bobo are disgusting in every sense of the word. That was like all I could get out from that first scene.
Sure. Yeah. No arguments there.
Okay, I just think that, like, Willa was that bitch in this episode, but, like, she had some of, like, the best lines. Like, when she called, I don't remember what it was specifically, but she called all the people at the party meat sticks.
Yeah.
Like, there was more to the line, but
It doesn't matter.
like, the meat sticks part really stuck out to me.
Yeah, there's definitely a flair for like the nothing happening. So I have a question. I'm going to go ahead and throw it in here just because this is kind of where it happens initially. So in the first scene with her and Bobo, she's kind of like expositioning the prophecy to us, you know, like the heir on the solstice with a revenant of her choosing or whatever. But at the end, she crosses by herself, and I'm trying to figure out like why that did anything.
That's a really good point. I also, when I was watching it, I was just like, wow, they don't usually just, like, blatantly use exposition like this. Like, they clearly had a lot to get through in this episode, so they're like, let's just lay out the plan real quick, and then we can get into the action.
Yeah, let's have Willa tell Bobo the thing that he's been working on for like 20 years. No big deal.
She could have just, like, broken the fourth wall and been like, hey, audience.
Well,
this is
it doesn't
what's up.
say it. It doesn't say it all had to happen at the same time. Willa crossed with Bobo willingly, and then 12 hours later, she crossed with Peacemaker.
But the thing is, I don't know that.
Just let it happen.
Just-
Yeah.
Just accept it.
Well, I don't know, like, if she crossed with Bobo, was like what's the thing in Stranger Things? The upside down? Like, was
Yeah.
that supposed to happen? Or if she, like, crossed with Bobo, would it just be, like, the regular world? And she's like, whoops, I'm missing a piece, and now I've, like, passed into an alternate dimension.
No, because it just opens the door. And anything can go out, anything can come in. It's like curse fully activated.
I think, like, Waverly's storyline in this episode is, like, epic. Like, she solves the mystery at the end of the last episode, and then it's just, like, her filling in, like, the little details that she wants to know, and then being like, okay, yeah, Willa is a giant bitch.
Yes.
Yeah, she definitely got that one. I can't. It's so weird how when certain things, especially when we've been talking about them so many times, like as I watch things, I can't like separate them from you guys. So like when Pete comes in and is like, "You remember my name this time?" I'm like, "Okay, Monica, I remembered his name this time
I
too."
thought of you guys too, and when he said that, I thought, it's like he's talking to PP and Michelle.
Exactly.
Yep.
Did you remember him then?
I did.
Yeah.
Can we talk a bit about the Earp girls and their accessories? Because what the fuck are those purses?
Yeah.
It looks like they got them from, like, Goodwill in 1983. 87.
It might have just been like they just use accessories that were, like, left behind in the Earp house.
My God.
But they were, like, I don't understand, like, clutch purses, because it's like, you're just, like, taking away a hand the entire time because you have to hold this fucking thing.
I agree.
Those are not clutches. Those are like,
Well, like,
Mary Poppins clutches, maybe.
well, the one that Willa had was, like, a weird sack, but, like, the one that Waverly had was, like, a more practical size.
But, like, a purse without a strap, I don't get.
I also don't get purses, but
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
even so when I was in college, I went to a lot of formals, and I had, like, a dress purse. Haha. Anyway, but it had a strap, because I'm not gonna, like, it's so, like, why am I gonna fucking carry that thing? But also, it was not that big. It was big enough to hold my student ID, some cash, my cigarettes, and a lighter. Like, that's all you need. You don't need a purse. Well, I guess you do if you have to smuggle in Peacemaker, but still. And where did they get that second gun? Where'd that come from?
Waverly has magical powers.
All right, cool.
There's guns just flying around everywhere.
Maybe she just had it, like, in her pocket, like, snuck it in, because she's like, yep, Willa's definitely going to try and pull something.
And Waverly is so smart, but one person in this episode manages to outsmart her. And it is supervillain Chrissy Nedley.
Chrissy Nedley.
I don't know that it's necessarily outsmarts her. She just gets the jump on her. And when somebody like chloroforms you, there's not much you can do.
I guess Waverly didn't spend her childhood holding her breath in case someone chloroformed her. I guess maybe she could have learned something from me.
Yeah, when they were like, I don't think that... It's the phone starts ringing, right? About that. And Wynona's like, I don't think that thing's rung for 15 years. And all I can think over here is like, who's paying that bill? And why is that still plugged in?
Me too. Do you think it's run off the generator?
Absolutely.
I laughed so hard because I'm like, why is that phone plugged in? Like, you have it in like a basket that like you're also using for laundry. But I mean, like, okay, we needed a plot device to like get them there. I love how like Wynona's so oblivious. Like Willa is so obviously doesn't give a shit about Waverly, and Wynona's just like, I don't understand it, but I'm just gonna pretend that you do want to save Waverly.
And it's
Yeah.
I don't know that it's oblivious Wynonna this time as much as wishful thinking Wynonna.
Denial.
Denial Wynonna, yeah.
Yeah, but Chrissy's so funny. She's like, I chloroformed her and tied her up all by myself.
She's like, it's Chrissy Nedley.
She's just so proud of herself.
And when she hangs up the phone, she's like, bring her to this place and blah, blah, blah. Bye. Like,
well, you don't want to be rude.
Graham, stop it. Sorry.
Also, like, the way that she duct tapes Waverly, like, Waverly could have easily gotten out of that, because I don't think she duct taped her hands. She just, like, duct taped her shoulders a little bit.
Not even, though. It was, like, above her shoulders. It's like, they just don't want to touch that dress. I had so many qualms with that duct tape.
Like,
I'm not even kidding.
Waverly, just get up and walk out of the room.
Yeah, it was a lot. By meaning it was a little. And I was like, I don't think that'll hold.
I like how, like, when Willa realized that Waverly... Also, Waverly had no chill and no poker face. When Willa was like, we need to find Peacemaker, and Waverly's, like, looking at her bag, like, telegraphing,
yeah,
it's
like,
right here.
I definitely have it, but okay.
And I like how Willa allows her to just, like, snatch it out of her hands. Basically, all of the Earp sisters are, like, highly incompetent in this episode.
I don't know. I loved when Willa, though, was, like, when she was talking to Bobo and, you know, he's, like, defending them. And she's like, you know, what is this, like, support my friggin' sisters day or whatever. But she's like, Waverly is useless. And I'm like, you have severely underestimated Waverly.
Well, and Bobo, too, was like, I feel like this might end up being an issue.
Yeah, she's pretty insightful.
But I mean, like, Willa's arrogance is, like, ultimately what brings her down.
Oh, absolutely. This really is, though, like, in that scene. Not that scene, sorry. The one where they're still at the house and she's being Denial Wynonna. That really is one of my favorite lines of the entire series thus far is, you know, Peacemaker's just a gun, but Waverly's Waverly.
Yes.
I love that line.
Me too.
Because, like, the Earp sisters, not Willa, are, like, the most important part of the show for me. And it's nice to see that, like, in the face of, like, the end of the world, Wynona's like, okay, but Waverly. I think my favorite scene in the episode, aside from Wynonna, like, sliding under like, the tentacle monster, like a fucking badass, is when Willa goes completely postal in the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
Where, like, Waverly's like, I know that she, like, that's not Willa, it's, like, the wrong Willa. And then Willa's just like, I think that Waverly drank the poison. In the most obviously manipulative voice ever.
They sounded like teenagers fighting. Well, Waverly drank the poison. Did not. Like...
And Wynona's just sitting there like, I don't have a clue what is happening right now because I have not been paying attention to the episode.
But, like, when did I become the adult in this relationship?
And then, like, Wynona's, like, kind of starting to figure it out, and she's, like, trusting Waverly more than she is Willa. And then Willa just, like, pulls out a gun, and Wynona's like, oh, fuck.
You won't do it. You keep saying that.
Yeah.
Love that line. One of my favorite things in this episode, just in the idea of any type of supernatural show, is like the reveal to Nicole. Like, it's just great across really any series, where they're just like, oh, for fuck's sake, it's this. And she's like, thank you.
Doc's explanation is just like fucking perfect, and how he ends it with, he's like, I'm Doc Holliday. Yes, that Doc Holliday. And Nicole's just like, oh, this makes perfect sense.
Except for that last part.
I feel like she's just happy that somebody admitted that there's supernatural shit, because she's like, anything is on the table, because like, this town is fucking weird. I feel like we need to talk about the bulletproof vest, because when did this air? Did this air in 2016?
Yeah.
2016 was not a good year for queer characters. And so, like, the fact that the show, they, like, had a bulletproof vest before, like, the year even started, it was just like, this show is fucking perfect.
Well, and I remember, like, I don't know, from episode 2, when we met Nicole and realized she liked women, I feel like people were screaming. I wasn't around back then, but I had heard that people were screaming to give her a bulletproof vest, and they had already shot the entire season. And I think I read something, I don't know if it was Emily or if it was Kat. Okay, go ahead then.
Well, I was one of the people shouting about a bulletproof vest, because I was like, I can't lose another one. And then, like, Kat in an interview or something was just like, I was so surprised how people, like, knew about the bulletproof vest before, like, the show even aired. Because she didn't realize.
None of them had any idea about any of us, I think. Or any of that. I don't know. But yeah, shout out to the real MVP of this episode, the bulletproof vest. That she did not get from Black Badge. She must have just had her own. Or maybe it's Purgatory issued.
I think it's, like, Purgatory issued, because she's like, it's standard practice when there's, like, a bunch of, crazy hicks on the run or whatever.
Crazy hicks off their rockers.
For a 404.
She called it.
She starts throwing out, like, the codes, and they just look at her like, I'm sorry, what the fuck are you talking about?
But she called out a different code earlier in the episode.
5150.
Yeah.
That is not Crazy Hicks off their rockers, I guess.
No.
Maybe that's like the town is poisoned or something.
Yeah. I don't know. She cracked me up, though. Like, she goes to Black Badge. She's in the dress. She gets her, like, cool, super pumped up shotgun. And then they're like, go do this. And then when she comes into the station later, she's just like strolling in her uniform, like, no big deal. I have paperwork desk duty. Like, it just seems like, where are you going?
I assumed that she had either run home or changed at the office, because her hair was still down. And she hadn't put it back. Like, she just, she's not going to run around and check on the Earp girls in her fancy purple dress. So this was just like I assumed that it was right after she had talked to Doc and Dolls, right?
The thing is, this episode is so jam-packed that I think a lot of the scenes are happening simultaneously, but it's difficult to differentiate.
When for instance, when Doc and Dolls are in with the safe and they hear a cough, I assume that that's Chrissy Nedley, like, smuggling Waverly into the station. So I think it is all happening at the same time. She just changed into something more bulletproof and warm.
Well, like where they hear the gunfight at Shorty's when they get, like, cornered in the alley by all of the, like, rabid townsfolk. Like, those happen at the same time.
Yes.
This is the episode where, like, I was like, yes, Nedley, you're starting to not be horrible.
We saw signs of it, but, like, his speech, and he said, Wynonna, what was it? Wynonna is what we made her. It's accurate, and, he actually said it, even if you suspected that he thought it. I just thought it was a really, really great line.
I just like that someone acknowledged that, because, like, everybody shits on Wynonna, and she was like, well, it's partially a byproduct of how you all treated her.
Partially. Entirely.
Definitely, maybe.
I have a hard time jumping around, whatever. Really? Like, Bobo wants Wynonna. Pete's the only one who went to the homestead? I'm very surprised that there aren't, 30 zombie townsfolk with pitchforks out there.
Maybe he's, like, the only one who knew where it was, because they used to hook up.
I also like that one of his complaints about Wynonna wronging him is that she made fun of my mama's diabetes.
And the way he pronounced it, oh, it was fantastic.
I was like, okay, like, sleeping with the brother, I get, like, you can resent her for that, but really? The other one's a little petty.
When they were like 5 or something.
And she was like, oh, you couldn't tie your shoes, and I wore Velcro shoes. You made fun of my mama's diabetes. Okay, well.
Oh, man.
And like, when Willa is talking to Wynonna at the homestead, and you see her face switch back and forth between, like, her mask of being nice and her actual sociopathic real face, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, she was very put out by, like, having to go through that at all.
I like how she, like, is finally like, okay, Wynonna is not going to give up this Waverly shit. And so she's like, I just want to, like, be able to punch something. And Wynonna, like, pops out, and she's like, I think we can get that, or whatever it is.
I think that can be arranged. I don't know if that's really what she said, but that's what she said in my head.
Something like that. But, like, just, like, Melanie Scrofano just, like, killed that line, like, popping out of the doorway and then, like, dropping it and popping back in. Melanie Scrofano just killed it in this episode, as she does in every episode.
As she does in this entire series.
Yeah, that face, man. It does a lot.
It does.
So, let's talk about Doc and Dolls stumbling out to the car after going in, like, shorties. Like, how freaking cute are they? And, like, Doc brought his medicine, and it was like, okay, bro, like, you're really bros now. He's, like, accusing him of being a drug addict. He's like, you're the worst junkie I've ever seen. But he brought it himself because he believed him.
Yeah, it's like they have, like, they're like, they antagonize each other, but also, like, Doc has come to respect Dolls enough where he's like, I should probably bring these drugs just in case, because he might need a pick-me-up.
And Mr. I don't know anything about technology figures out his drug gun in 3.5 seconds. Okay, sure.
I really liked how that drug gun worked, because it, like, drained the vial, and it just, like, stored the fluid in, like, the barrel of it, but, like, you could see the fluid. Like, none of it, like, quote-unquote, went into Dolls, and it was very obvious.
I don't think there's a gun he can't shoot, though, so...
Alright, well, that is fair.
Also, where was he storing it?
In his jacket.
In his jacket.
He had, like 3 or 4 guns on him. I was like, man, you're really packing. I don't know where you're keeping everything.
You don't want to know where he keeps the guns, but the drugs were in his jacket.
Now, how those vials didn't break is maybe a good question, but...
Also, like, how does he never run out of bullets?
Shh.
Yeah, you know better than to ask some bullshit like that.
That's like the person of interest guns, where they, like, fucking have unlimited ammo.
Shh.
Do you hear that wind?
The only time when people run out of bullets is when it's good for the story.
Yep.
It's true.
I really liked the scene with, all 3 Earp sisters and Nicole in the sheriff's office, but especially, like, Wynonna finding out that Waverly and Nicole are together, and Wynonna just immediately accepting it. Well, like, hey, at least she didn't pick an asshole this time. And Nicole telling her to go and help her sister. Like, I just thought all of that scene was really nice and really perfect and very cute.
I like Wynonna's reaction when they, like, start kissing. She's like, okay, yeah, you do that. Like, I'll grab your coat.
Right.
And then 2 seconds later, she's like, all right, you're done. Let's go.
You're done. No more of that.
And she chucks it at them, like, so hard. Like, it's fantastic. I like that whole scene, though, just because of the back and forth. Like, it's like, this person talks, that person talks. You know what I mean? They're going in this, like, really quick, like, everybody's, like, firing off their few words. Like, kind of, like, we really, you know, and it just...
And then Willa
really good.
Fucking shooting her. Like, I knew she wasn't gonna die. I didn't think she was gonna die, but I was still really shocked.
I was kind of sitting there like, are you surprised that she shot her? Because, like, she's clearly, like, insane. And then also, like, her storming out and being like, now you know what it, like, feels like when somebody takes your things. I was like, that's a great line.
It is a great line.
I feel like that, more than any other line she ever had, I feel like that line demonstrates, like, how crazy she really is.
And says so much.
Because she's just a thing to her. Like, she's like, people, what even is that? Who cares?
No, I agree. And says so much about her personality. Like, she just wants her she wants her gun. She wants her status as the Earp heir. She wants Bobo only to care about her. And, like, sorry, but none of that shit's happening.
I mean, she's just ridiculously conceited. Like, she only cares about herself.
Also, a nice throwback to the pilot where Wynonna tore open Champ's shirt. She does the same to Nicole. Like, if Waverly dates anybody else in this series, I hope we get a scene of Wynonna ripping their shirt apart.
I like the return of stupid Carl.
Yes.
Except, how is he talking when he supposedly doesn't have a tongue?
Shh. I don't know, Revenants...
Wouldn't it have grown back? I think it would have grown back.
I was gonna say Revenants kind of heal themselves, right? Like, because if they shot, they don't walk around with a... If they get shot, they don't walk around with a bullet hole in their arm.
But, like, all the Revenants were, like, bleeding on the ground of shorties, and then, like, Malcolm got his eye stabbed out, and it, like he stayed blind.
But it was only a couple days. You know, it's been weeks, months since stupid Carl got his tongue pulled out.
What if that happened before he became a revenant? The eye thing.
It didn't. It happened in the pilot.
Oh yeah, that. I remember.
You can edit that part out.
Well, in the flashback in the last episode about, like, them taking Willa, he had both eyes.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's like Monica said. I mean, that, like, the eye poke thing versus when she killed him or sent him back to hell was only, like, a day, maybe two. Like, I think it takes time.
If we had more time with Malcolm, maybe his eye would have grown back. That's a whole episode. Would Malcolm's eye have grown back if Wynonna hadn't sent him to hell? It's 3 hours right there.
Also, Levi's foot.
Nope. And his skin?
I was like,
Oh, God.
his entire body.
Although Bobo's skin was pretty fucking ratchet by the end of this episode.
It was.
Shall we discuss Juan Carlo?
Yes. I like how he stops Bobo and is just like, dude, there wasn't much of, like, a selection in, like, the, like, clubhouse prison or whatever. Because he's just like, Stockholm Syndrome, asshole.
Slim Pickens in the hostage hut.
Yeah.
Such a good line.
Great.
I like that we learn that he's, like, he can't actually interfere with anything. Like, he's just there to, like, observe.
But we still don't really understand who he is. But it's interesting that Bobo, like, knows that about him. You know, like, you're not allowed to interfere.
No.
It was an interesting line.
I agree, and even we see him a lot in season 2, and I still have a lot of questions about who he is and what he does and what he can do and why.
I was gonna say, like, I don't think we ever figure out what the heck he actually is.
Maybe we'll see him again.
I don't know, he got eaten.
So?
Maybe he'll grow back. His whole body. I don't know.
Sorry.
I thought in that scene, though, with he and Bobo, the interesting thing that I found was when Bobo says, I can save her. And I was like, Jesus Christ, if Bobo knows you're batshit, like, you have a real problem there. Like, Willa is so much crazier than he is.
Yeah.
But it's partially his fault.
Well, I think it's his fault. And then, like, at the end where Willa's, like, going off as she's, like, across the line in the Upside Down, she, like, admits that, like, Bobo, like, kind of, like, played with her mind, because she's like, he's not the only one that visited me there. And I think she's talking about Clutie, but there are, like, multiple people that influenced her. And so, like, her view of the world and what, like, she deserves isn't purely Bobo's fault. It's also, like, Clutie and other stuff.
And Ward.
Do you think it was
Ward.
Clutie, or do you think it was somebody else? Because what she's... Sorry, I'm looking for the line. Bobo doesn't know, but he's not the only one that came to visit me in that treehouse, making promises in the dark. What?
Yeah, that was super weird.
I don't think she was talking about Clutie. I don't know if she was talking about Miction. I suspect that we don't know what she's talking about at all. Because what kind of promises that death can be a mercy. I just don't think that applies to anything that we've seen so far, and I could 100% be wrong. But
I think definitely Clutie had some effect on her, but I don't know that she would have brought up the death is a mercy thing.
Yes.
It just... When did Clutie take her? Or give her to Lou or whatever? Like, how old did Willa get to be in the treehouse?
Right before she turned 27.
Wait, what?
He says that Constance wiped her memories, and I assume took her and brought her to Lou right before she turned 27.
Oh, I thought she was there a lot longer than that.
So did I until we watched this episode.
So then she was just chilling in that treehouse for like 14 years?
Yes. Hopefully there was a bathroom.
I don't think there was.
There's still not an entrance. And also when Bobo came in, he just made it look like he walked in from the ground.
Maybe he did. He levitated like a metal magic carpet up and just walked in.
It's like
what I mean though is that was clearly like just a room somewhere, you know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
Obviously we're not in a treehouse.
that treehouse is still just like the most ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
It's a mystery.
The epitome of hiding in plain sight. Like, no one knew I was here in this fucking treehouse in the middle of nowhere that everyone could see. Come on.
Like
For 14 years. This is like a fucking Rapunzel situation? Like,
she does have nice hair.
it's not long enough if she had been there for 14 years.
Yeah, he says, I hid her away here. Here is the most conspicuous location ever.
And I like how it's like the lone tree in the clearing. Like, it's not even like in the woods. It's just like this one tree.
Yeah, and it wasn't very far from the Earp homestead, was it? I mean, they walked out there.
Multiple times. Waverly in heels and a mermaid dress.
Yeah.
Nah, naturally.
It's not fair that she didn't get to change. Everybody else got to change. It's not fair.
I think, like, the first time I saw the episode, that was, like, one of my issues. I was like, man, Waverly's stuck in that dress.
I mean, she looked great, but come on. She has duct tape residue all over her
shoulders,
basically.
But not that much, because I don't think it was on very, very strongly.
No. They didn't want to ruin the dress.
It's not like, it's not like Grey's Anatomy where they have this giant budget where they have, like 4 dresses. Just, bring in a clean one. This was the only dress. Don't sneeze on it. Don't drop any champagne on it.
We should talk about Waverly and Bobo in the treehouse.
Oh, man, that was a thing. Well, I like how before she went, she and Wynonna were leaving, and she was like saying, they were expositing again what each one has to do. And then she's like, and I have to do this. Like, it's something only I can do. And I just kind of noted, I thought it was cool that as much as Wynonna wants to protect Waverly, she trusts her too. So she's like, okay, you go do that thing.
And I think that's something that has developed over the course of the season. Because, like, at the beginning of the season, Wynonna would have been like, oh, hell no, because she was trying so hard to protect Waverly by keeping her in the dark and keeping her close. And, like, over the course of the season, she's learned, like, okay, yeah, Waverly can hold her own.
Yep. So the treehouse.
I really like how Waverly put together that he was Robert's Fane.
Yes.
Yeah, even though that doesn't mean anything to us right now.
Well, because the lead was written to him.
The letter.
Yeah.
The letter from the last episode. We know that it was written to Robert's Fane.
Oh, that's right. Okay, well, it just didn't mean anything to me. Because I forget shit.
We got you.
Yeah, the whole Swan's Mate for Life was like, ugh.
That was really gross. I, like, cringed.
So the line that I thought, though, was super... I never caught this before, and now, like, looking in the context of a couple seasons, but also still not being, like, resolved, is not when he told her she's not an Earp, because, obviously that's, like, such a huge part. But what got kind of lost in that is when he was talking about how everything had gone in so long, and he said that it's time the rest of us stepped into the light, including you. And I was like, what?
I actually paused and tried to, like, think about what he meant by that. And I don't fucking know. It's like,
I don't either.
Is Waverly, some sort of supernatural something and, like, therefore is kind of, like, in the dark? Or is it just that, like, they've been trapped in the Ghost River Triangle and, like, that area, it's just, like, a dark area that is, I mean, it's a shitty area. And they want to step out into the world.
Yeah, but she can leave. So I don't know. Yeah, it gave me pause.
We know she can leave now, but she didn't know she could. She'd never left the Ghost River Triangle. I don't know.
But she had no reason at that point to think that she couldn't.
Well, I don't know that. Maybe he doesn't mean that, like, she's physically incapable, but maybe he's like, it's time for you to, like, get out of here and, like, live your life. Because we know that from season 2 that, like, he has this deep care for her because of that whole flashback thingamabob. So I think that might be it. It's just him, like, trying to tell her to, like, get out of here.
Maybe. I don't know. It just gave me weird feels.
I suspect we don't fully know what that means yet.
Yeah, me too.
Which is cool. Like, one of my favorite things about being able to go back and do this rewatch after having seen season 2 is, we find all these breadcrumbs, and some of them lead somewhere that we didn't realize, and others just sort of lead into the forest, and we're like, should we follow them or just let them go? I guess we'll see. Here's to season 3. It's kind of cool.
No, it really is. Can we please acknowledge the teeth clicking thing? Because that is so fucking creepy. Like, that is scarier than I feel like anything else that Bobo does.
That's his, like, most creepy, like, thing. And, like, he like, kisses Willa and then does it. And I'm like, how is she not freaked out by that?
I'm not saying that I think this. I would imagine that some viewers do not find it creepy. I think some people probably think it's super sexy, especially when he does it there.
I mean, more power to you. I just find it creepy. Just because, like, that noise.
I get it more in that context, because I feel like he's like, I'm going to eat you up. But in the rest of the context, it's always, like, kind of how he ends stuff, and it's freaky as fuck.
It is freaky as fuck. And it's such an interesting choice as an actor. I think Michael Eklund is an amazing actor. And what would make you think to do that?
He's so good. I was rewatching episodes of Arrow yesterday because I'm obsessed with Sarah Lance, and he was the villain in one. I, like, heard his voice. He was, like, off screen, and I'm like, Michael Eklund. And then, like, he plays, like, a villain, and I'm like, you're just good at playing evil. Like, he's amazing.
Yeah, he was in Altered Carbon as well recently and was incredible. Although he had brown hair, which was so weird.
Yeah, his hair was really different in the Arrow episode, and I'm like, well, this is a little disconcerting because he's Bobo. I like how, because, like, when Willa comes to the treehouse, somehow, he tells Waverly to hide, because, like, at this point, Willa has Peacemaker, and, like, she's just a loose cannon. Like, she's completely, like, out of control, and he's like, go hide over there. Because, like, he cares for Waverly.
And he cares for Willa.
He just doesn't give a shit about Wynonna. Let's talk about, like, dragon doll, or, like, semi-dragon dolls, and, like, the whole, like, I was gonna say DEO, Black Badge Division stuff.
Okay.
And fucking Lucado.
Fucking Lucado, man.
I love when, like, dolls, like, goes, like, semi-dragon, and Doc's expression, and he's just like, what are you?
He was in such awe of him later, too, because he's like, you threw that guy through the window.
I think, like, dolls, like, Doc's respective dolls, like, skyrocketed, because he's like, oh, he can hold his own in a fight. Like, this is something I approve of. I really like when, like, after their fight, and they have, like, the poison, and, like, Dolls is in BBD mode, and he's like, we're gonna get the cure, it'll be fine, we're gonna do this and that. And, like, Wynonna comes in, and it's like, oh my god, were you shot? And, like, Doc is back, and he knows, like, he calls Doc, like, her man or something, like, and tells Wynonna not to touch him because, like, he's technically her boss. Like, Doc comes back and he, like, sees the, like, kind of that he's lost.
I think he just takes himself out of it.
Yeah, because I think he's...
like, it's not a competition, you know what I mean? It's not so much that he's lost as, like, I'm not even getting in the middle of this.
Right, I think he understands that, like, Wynonna and Doc, like, have, like, a deep relationship, and he's just like, nope, not happening.
When we think about Black Badge in the context of, like, what we know about them from season 2, I found it kind of weird that they come in, with all their basically, like, almost crime scene investigators. Like, this is a pretty large organization to not be government. Like, there's no question up to this point, you have no reason to be like, I bet this isn't government. I found that a little bit strange looking in reverse.
That's a good point. I think that they hadn't fully formed, like, how they wanted BBD to be in season 2, and so they played it that way as, like, crisis control. I mean, really, it was, like, the entire scene of Dolls, like, getting patched up and interacting with Lucado was to, like, introduce Lucado.
Dolls just looks so defeated in that scene when Lucado lays into him. I felt, I don't know, I have mixed feelings about Dolls this season. but I just felt really bad for him there.
When Lucado was like getting super salty about the fact that he didn't save her husband, I was like, damn bitch, you know how to hold a grudge.
I really like how they set her and him up to, to be enemies next season. That was really well done at the end of this episode. I really like their interaction in season 2, although we only get it for a few episodes.
I love how their relationship ends.
Yeah. Like a can of spaghetti in the microwave.
I think that might be my favorite line of the entire show. But yeah, I like how like Black Badge is like the entire point of us being here was to like contain the revenants, but now we've decided that we really want to see what happens when we open like the gates of hell. Like it'll be interesting to study.
That's just bonkers. What the fuck? Why would you? It's bad enough, letting Shorty die to see if they could possess each other. But, like, a whole fucking town? I know you've done it before, but still, a whole fucking town? Ugh.
Well, the thing, too, is that they, like, want to open up the gate and, like, see what happens. And then, like, in the premiere season 2, Art, whatever his name is from this show, is like, when you guys opened up that gate, like, you let all this, like, blaming them, and I'm like, well, why aren't you yelling at Lucado? Because she had the exact opposite goal. Like, she wanted it open, and you're bitching that they opened it.
I don't think we fully understand the nature of Black Badge, do we?
I do not.
I feel like there's, like, they're not aligned in their mission statement, because there seems to be like certain people want one thing and other people want another thing. Like Doll's mission was one thing, then Lucado comes and wants them to open the gate, and then like Art from Orphan Black is just like, why the fuck did you open the gate? You like let a bunch of stuff in or out.
I think Lucado's only mission and goal was to fuck Dolls up.
I think she just really wanted to blow up Purgatory because Dolls cared about it.
Yep.
Yeah, because that would mean that he failed and she'd get to hold that over him.
I like that Dolls disregarded his orders because like he cares about Wynonna and like he's not as loyal to Black Badge as he is to, his Purgatory crew.
His people even.
I was avoiding saying that, but yes.
I know you were.
I'm just sitting back
it
here.
Was pretty obvious.
Just sitting back here eating my popcorn. Keep going, guys.
There's just been a lot of my people going on in my life right now. Like, so many people have used it in, like, TV and, like, in discussion that I'm just like, I can't. I need a break.
I would like to take this time to point out that it was not me, for once.
That's true. You haven't trolled me in a while.
No, not to your face.
That's fine by me.
I know. I know the rules of this friendship, Michelle.
I love Doc. Like, Wynonna asks Doc for, like, a pep talk, and he ends it with, like, Monica, do you have the transcript up?
I do have the transcript up. Let me
His
just look for the word plucky.
Because, like,
Or Old Yeller, that's when he ends.
Because he closes it, and he's like, but you're gonna try anyway, like, in the face of, like, inevitable odds, or, like, whatever.
You're starting to sound like a hero.
I'm not gonna do the accent, sorry. Careful, Earp, doing what's right, even in the face of ridiculous odds, you are beginning to sound like a hero.
I fucking love that line.
I feel like Doc knows exactly what she needs to hear, even if he disguised it as a story about a dog named Plucky.
Well, and I like that, like, he talks about, like, if like, he had to kill the dog because it went rabid, just like Willa, and, like, it's a perfect metaphor, and then, like, when Wynonna's like, I'm not gonna kill her, and he's like, well, if she doesn't come when you call, it's like, she's lost. So, like, you don't really have a choice at that point.
Yeah, because even though, she asked for a pep talk and he gave her something that was rather depressing in theory, like, he's a very good judge of character and a good reader of people. And, like, I think he knew, that Willa is so far gone that, you're going to be challenged to do something that you didn't want to do. And, then when Wynonna said, like, I don't think I can beat her, like, that was devastating.
I like at the end where Doc tells Dolls to shoot Willa because I think he just doesn't want Wynonna to have to carry that burden.
Yeah, for sure.
And also Wynonna being a badass with that grenade.
Agree. However, the grenade goes off, and I realized they were a little bit closer. Both Bobo and Doc, like, topple end over end, and Wynonna just falls back a little.
It's that Earp air superpower.
I guess that's what that is.
But I just love that entire ending scene, or like the fight scene at the end, because like Doc and Dolls are just super concerned for Wynonna. Wynonna desperately wants to save her sister, and Willa just wants the world to burn.
Yeah, she literally says that. And Purgatory burns down? Like, yay!
Yeah.
I lost my place. I'm sorry. I think I drank my coffee too close to recording, and I'm a little bit... There's a lot going on today, and I'm easily distracted.
I'm currently drinking my 4th cup of coffee.
Yeah, I'm more delicate than you are, Michelle. Like, I drink 1 cup of coffee a day. Yesterday I had 2, and it was pretty crazy. After the grenade, Doc calls Wynonna love.
Yeah, he does.
And, like, whatever about my squishy Hufflepuff feelings. Yes. But it was just, I thought it was really sweet. And, like, when he's like, it's okay, love, go on. Like, he wants her to go and do what she has to do and to go after her sister. And I just thought that part was really sweet. I also really liked when Willa told Wynonna, respect your elders, bitch.
She had so many good lines, and like Natalie Krill's delivery was just like on point the entire episode. I just love that like the entire like back half of this episode is Doc just like desperately trying to like help Wynonna, and not necessarily in the sense of being like, yeah, go kill that bitch, but like trying to like make sure that she like doesn't have to bear the weight of, like, he knows that Will is gonna have to die, and he like tries everything in his power to prevent Wynonna from having to like carry the weight of that death. And also my question, like, was the tentacle monster gonna attack Willa, or was it like when it smelled blood it attacked her?
Yeah, I have a lot of questions about that last scene, like that last scene of the showdown.
Because, like, was Willa trying to commit suicide and, like, destroy... Because, like, death can be a mercy, she said earlier. So, like, was it that she was trying to, like, kill herself while also taking Purgatory out?
I think the tentacle monster was going for... You know what? I don't even know why I'm fucking trying to logic this out. Because what the fuck ever. Really?
I think the tentacle monster, I mean, any sentence you start that way, really.
I was going to say,
already off the rails.
We're talking about a fucking tentacle monster.
I think the real tentacle monster is the friends that we made along the way. Can't believe I got through that without breaking, by the way. Sorry for that volume, but I'm gonna laugh for at least 20 more minutes. Not really.
That's pretty incredible.
Okay, let's just jump to that. I will fully admit by starting out, perhaps I'm a fucking moron. Is the tentacle monster Miction? Because, okay, so it comes through the gates, she closes the gate, it turns into goo, Waverly touches the goo and gets infected with Miction.
It doesn't turn into goo, though, it turns into ash.
So what?
So maybe, like, while the tentacle monster, like, was taking all the attention, like, the goo just kind of, like, slithered out through the gate.
See, I thought that how you make the goo is you take the tentacle monster ash and you mix it with snow. It's like pouring maple syrup in the snow, you know, when it's sugaring season. Was I the only one who read the Little House on the Prairie books? Okay, great.
It's also really helpful if you have a body thud. Throwing that out there.
I will turn this podcast around. I thought that what Waverly touched was what we saw come through the gates. You know, like, consistency aside.
I don't think so, because, like, the entirety of, like, Miction in season 2 is, like, that it's, like, goo, and it's, like, always been goo. Don't touch the fucking goo. So I don't know.
What if it was just in that thing?
I mean, maybe it was, it possessed the tentacle monster?
Yeah. Like, that was not Miction, but Miction, or part of Miction was in there, you know? Because as we know, like, Miction can be in multiple people, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it just caught
at the same time.
It, like, hung on to one of its
exactly.
teeth, like,
I mean, As far as we know, Miction is not corporeal.
No, it's literally just goo.
Yeah, guys,
So-
do you realize this fucking ridiculous shit that we're discussing? I mean, I love it and I am here from it, but like, this is our life and I fucking love it.
I feel like if somebody like that doesn't watch the show and they don't listen to like our entire podcast, if they listen to any episode, they should listen to this one because they're gonna be like, what the fuck are these people talking about? Tentacle monsters, goo?
We're just fucking ridiculous assholes and I love it. I'm so happy I found you both. I'm sorry. We can go back to the goddamn episode, but I'm crying from laughing so hard, and also because I'm so happy, but also maybe when I heated up the coffee for 5 minutes, it made it more potent.
I love that Waverly touches the goo. And then, like, the season pretty much ends. Like, she turns a gun on, the demon that's behind them. But, like, the entire off-season, like, the fandom was all about just shouting, don't touch the goo. And then, like, in season 2, at least in the first few episodes, like, every single monster, like, excretes some sort of goo, and they keep touching it, and people keep yelling at them not to touch the goo. They're like, oh, we got you, fandom.
I liked in that last scene how even though it was like Doc and Wynonna and then Bobo and Willa that all went to kind of showdown together, you guys mentioned, that both Doc and Bobo got kind of like blown out of the thing. And yes, on one hand that was like totes ridiculous, but on another hand I thought it was extremely poignant that they left the showdown like just to the sisters.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and that's how it should have always been. I mean, you watch a TV show and you get so invested in the characters and you feel like you know them. The writers write them a certain way. And it's just so gratifying when the writers seem to, I don't know, stick with the characteristics of characters and the theme of a show for an entire season and give you that respect as an audience to play out the story the way it should have been. It's gratifying.
Monica, it sounds like you're salty about something.
Don't know what you're talking about, Michelle.
I like that the showdown obviously has to be between Wynonna and Willow because the show is about Wynonna. But I like how the guys are in the background trying so hard to help and they don't really accomplish anything. It's super on brand for this show. The guys want to help, but it ultimately always comes down to the Earp sisters.
As it should, because they've created a show centered around the relationship between 2 women, and that's our payoff. Or 3 women, whatever. And that's our payoff.
Or 4.
Or 4. We don't know.
And you don't randomly have someone go out of character and attack one of their friends and ruin a relationship for no fucking reason.
No fucking reason whatsoever when earlier in the previous season, one of them says to the other, you'll always have me. I'll always be there for you.
Well, I mean, that's a death sentence right there, right?
No.
In case anyone was wondering, we're a little salty about Supergirl.
I have a lot of feelings about Lena Luthor. A lot of feelings.
I don't even watch that shit, and I knew that's what was happening. You guys are, pissed.
Very pissed, BP. It's because imagine that we've had this entire season, and then the ending was no bulletproof vest, Nicole dies, Wynonna's well, fuck her, sucks to be her. And then, Doc and Dolls wrestle the goo monster to the ground, and it's oh, well, they were the real heroes all along. And there are inexplicably cape tricks.
Wow.
Fucking cape tricks.
There's, well, clearly these are the answer to everything. I'm gonna light this TV on fire.
I think we need to do an episode of the Binge Doctors.
Maybe right now. Just give me a second to pull my shit together.
So after Wynonna kills Willa, she and Bobo and Dolls get taken away. I like how Lucato's maybe we'll send you back the pieces of Bobo that are left. And I like how Wynonna is just I have a fucking job to do, I'm taking out Bobo, so she's just hanging out by the purgatory sign and is just waiting for the van to come by.
I have a lot of thoughts, or at least like one and a half, about Lucado and Wynonna. When Lucado says, "We know what you did," what does that mean?
I still don't know what that means, and I wrote that down too. I'm like, do we though?
I was gonna say Wynonna like points out which one of the Bleecker case.
Yeah.
So like that's one that we know of, and Lucada's just like, no, we know what you did, and like her head unfortunately exploded like a can of spaghetti in the microwave. So I don't know if we're ever gonna actually know what Wynonna did.
And I wonder, was it another one of those things that they planted for us to find later? Like, did Lucado know that hot bartender dude was a revenant and that Wynonna slept with him? Like, how much do they know?
But like, Wynonna didn't know he was a revenant.
Yeah, I don't think that would stop Lucado from making that threat.
Lucado's like, we know what you did. And Wynonna's like, I genuinely don't know what you did. Lucada's just like, you fucked a revenant.
I can also see her saying that Lucado's a smart woman. And I think that it would be a calculated gamble to say to Wynonna, we know what you did, and know that there's something.
Just assume, like.
I mean, there's a lot about Wynonna's past that we don't know. Like the necklace, I feel like that's everywhere for there not to be a story behind it.
Yeah, and she looked pretty put off by that comment. Like, I think Wynonna thought of something specific.
Yeah. Like, Lucado might have been just throwing, like, shit against the wall, hoping something sticks, but, like...
And eventually it was her.
Yes. It's the spaghetti in a can on the wall defense.
I thought the comment was interesting, and I don't know if there was more to it, maybe not, because he just meant, like, she wasn't going to die, but when Doc asked Dolls, did you get a clean shot? And Dolls says that wasn't a clean shot. And I didn't know if he meant more, like it seemed like the way he said it, there was something deeper than the fact of like, no, she's not dead.
No.
It was like, there's no way this is ever going to be okay.
I agree.
Like, Doc doesn't want Wynonna to have to kill her, but I feel like Dolls might know that she has to, so like it wasn't a clean shot, but maybe he wasn't trying to have a clean shot.
And I like how, and we still don't know why, we learned a lot about Peacemaker in this episode. That, it lights up different colors depending on who it is. I'm still curious why it lit up blue for Willa, and we didn't see her descend into hell. Is it because of who she was? Is it because she was outside the boundaries of the triangle? Did it not work because she was outside the boundaries of the triangle when she tried to shoot it? Or is it because Peacemaker knew that she was just lost?
I want to believe that Peacemaker just knew because we, like, know it's sentient in some level.
Yeah, and Wynonna was outside the triangle when she shot it.
Oh, you're right. Thank you.
And I think it's, like, because it, like, Peacemaker allows Waverly to shoot it at some point. So I think it can just pick and choose. And, like, it didn't fire when Wynonna was doubting herself. Like, I don't know.
Peacemaker's just like a teenage girl, okay? And it like picks sides and changes its mind and is contradictory like all the time.
Peacemaker is nobody's but its own.
Yeah, there you go.
Dude, Wynonna's slide, she slid for like a quarter mile.
That's what it seemed like to me. I'm like, she's not gonna make it. It's like halfway down between third and home. Like, way too soon, kiddo.
I think when that happened, I like tweeted out like Wynonna sliding under like the tentacle monster is my new sexuality, and I feel like that still holds. Like, that was just so fucking good.
Ridiculous.
I think it was just the angle, when they switched from one side to the other. But yeah, it made it look like it was so far.
Like, oh, I guess they put in some special Teflon grass here that lets you just slide as fast as you want to. Like, oh, it's a winter slip and slide. Everybody's heard of that. I mean, whatever. It was awesome. Like, I'm not nitpicking. I mean, I'm always nitpicking, but like not in a malicious way. Like, it was awesome.
I also like how it's the finale, and so like they've had like pretty crappy special effects, and that's like part of the charm of the show. And this happens, you're like, they saved the budget.
Yeah,
I thought what they did with the bullets during the showdown between Doc and Bobo, I thought what they did with the bullets was really cool too. Like, I realize it probably wasn't super expensive to make it look like the bullets were arcing through the air, but I thought how they did it was very effective.
That one that he kind of like slung around his back to go at Doc was really cool as well.
It didn't look cheap. I'm not saying, it didn't look like zipper in the back of the costume cheap, which some of the effects have.
They pick and choose.
When Wynonna said, "I'm the goddamn Earp heir," yeah, I mean, she and Willa both said it this episode, both with very different effects. I mean, when she said it, it just gave me goosebumps. Like, I don't know if she's finally accepted it because she killed the other one, or because she realizes that she's the one it should be. She's the one who's good enough for it,
Well, I think she's doubted herself the entire season and, slowly come to accept that she is the Earp heir. But, when Willa came back, all of those doubts, skyrocketed again. And then, finally in this episode where, Willa shows her true colors, it's no, that's not what the Earp heir does. And then Peacemaker is just fuck no, I'm not firing for you. And so I think it just reinforces, for her, okay, yes, I am in fact the Earp heir. Because, the first one is bonkers.
Peacemaker did say that. That's what the symbols mean translated. The will is bonkers as fuck. That's what it means. Can we talk for a minute about Bobo at the end with Wynonna shooting him?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. I am going to put out a theory, and I'm ready for you guys to tell me why I'm wrong. I wonder if he was able to come back in season 2 because he didn't die inside the Ghost River Triangle.
I knew that's what you're about to say, and I don't necessarily have a problem with that.
And, maybe it was a combination of... First of all, I think this just occurred to me, and I'm not sure why. I feel very stupid. Maybe it's a combination... Bobo has always been special. Maybe it's a combination of that and the fact that he didn't die in the triangle. I also really like that Wynonna respected him enough to shoot him. She gave him the death that he deserved.
Oh man, that scene though, I felt like it had so many layers as far as yes, in a way it's a mercy, in a way it is her embracing her job, in a way it's a giant fuck you to Black Badge because they said she couldn't do it. I felt like she had a lot of reasoning there, but I do agree that was part of it for sure, that she was all right, you've been a worthy foe, and in a weird fucking way, you took care of my sister, so go ahead and die? I don't...
She knows that he's about to be tortured. She's not all about torture. Willow was, not Wynonna. She would kind of do it a little bit like she did with Bourbon Bob to try and get information, but she didn't enjoy it. She wants to send them to hell, not make them suffer. She wants to make them pay, not make them suffer.
Well, she wants to break the curse.
Yes.
Yeah, and she also saw what happened to Levi.
True, and that's that's... I feel like that's not a fate you would wish upon your worst enemy. That's just super shitty.
Yeah, very shitty. And I cannot believe this fucking cliffhanger, and they made us wait a year to find out what happened. Waverly touches the goo. We're all don't touch the fucking goo. And then, she's smiling, cheerful Waverly, and then everything changes and you hear a gunshot. That's fucked up. But awesome.
In that off season, I struggled so much because I'm well, her eyes weren't black when she shot the gun, but I don't I was going back and forth between whether Waverly was protecting them from something or if the goo was controlling her. It was a horrible cliffhanger. I mean, it was an excellent cliffhanger, but it was just torture.
Also, I'm damn, with those eyes, she looks like Tamsin when she goes all Valkyrie. And then in the first episode of season 2, who do we have? Right? It was the first episode, right? First few.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It was the first episode.
I freaking love Tamsin.
Dude, tell me about it. I also love Tamsin.
I watched up to where they introduced Tamsin, so I don't have a ton of experience with her. But I like Rachel Skarsten.
Yeah. I really like Tamsin. She's one of my favorites. I also like that Wynonna says, you're damn, Doc asks if they're going to go rescue dolls. I like that he does ask that because it shows that he's kind of put his bitterness and jealousy away. For whatever reason, because they're friends, because he realizes that's smaller then the bigger picture he needs to see, whatever. And Wynona's like, oh my god, he's in like a top secret, highly confidential, like super secure place. You're damn straight we're gonna go get him.
And he shot my sister, like, of course.
Right.
Because you almost expect her to say, like, he just shot my fucking sister, like, no way. But she's like, and he shot my sister, like, of course we're going to get him.
Like, maybe give me a day and a half. But no, we're gonna go do it.
I just like the list. You're just like, man, like there's no way they're gonna go get dolls. Like just listing off all this shit, and then she's like, of course.
I liked. I'm jumping around now because I'm going through my notes to see what I missed.
Oh yeah, the structure's definitely gone.
Our structure is no structure. This is the leftovers portion where we couldn't fit in what we wanted to say while other people were talking about it, and now you motherfuckers have to listen to it anyway. What I wrote was find someone who looks at you like Nicole Hott looks at weaponry. Her face fucking lit up when she walks in and sees all of that shit. She's like, hey, how you doing? How you doing, guys? I love that, and I love how excited that she is when she's holding her big badass gun in her off-the-shoulder purple dress, and she's like ready to go kick some ass.
So you know that her ship name is Hotshot, right?
Megan, that's your next stitch. Hotshot.
Claiming that one.
Can you do that?
I like how we're just like calling her out in our podcast. Like, your next assignment is.
By the way, I'm just kidding, Megan. You don't have to make that. I feel like she made something today because I was talking about it, and I feel bad.
That's weird. That something Monica said just got cut. It's so strange.
Meanwhile, people listen to this podcast and they're like, Monica never says anything. It's because it's always taken out. Trust me, it's not good. I don't have anything of value. I don't bring anything to this table.
Well, so Megan's assignment is still in place because that was removed. You can't take no takebacks.
And I was just really excited that Nicole got to join Black Badge for like at least a day and a half.
No.
She looked so excited when he called her Agent Hot.
I know.
I was like, man, Nicole, like I'm feeling it for you. Like, I'm excited.
Dolls is so formal, though. Like, that did not need to be done. You know what I mean?
But he still is fancy.
I have to deputize you.
Underneath it all, he still is fancy pants agent man.
And I think in this episode, like, after everything goes to shit, he kind of, like, adopts, like, throughout the episode, adopts more of that, like, fancy pants agent manness, because it's like, okay, well, like, shit's hitting the fan, so, like, we need to get a little bit more professional about this, because, like, we're probably gonna have to deal with Black Badge.
Yeah, he's doing, like, a soldier hierarchy thing.
But don't you I think, at least part of it is because he felt like Nicole deserved that. And she does. You're becoming part of this elite team that you've wanted to be a part of. And he recognizes that moment and gives her the respect that she deserves.
Yeah, in the way that he can.
Sure.
For sure.
He does what he's capable of doing. Chrissy, the design on Chrissy Nedley's dress looked like Charlie Brown's t-shirt.
Damn, I'm gonna have to go back and look.
Yes, Waverly took the gun from you, Willa, because she is a crafty fox.
I really like when, like, Nedley is, like, sending Wynonna off, like, he's calmed the, like, insane townspeople down, like, had them put the pitchforks down, and then she's like, are you okay? And then, what is he, like, talking about, like, the chili cook-off debacle of 05?
Yeah.
I was like, man, that must have been a really shitty chili cook-off.
Literally. And figuratively.
Yeah, I was gonna say. It's very literal.
I think we did talk about this a little, but and a lot of people have given this answer as their favorite Earp Sisters moment when Wynonna kisses Waverly on the forehead in the alleyway, street, whatever, who cares? But I think my favorite part about that scene, like, it was very sweet and very touching and felt very real, but she kisses her on the forehead and then kind of rolls her eyes a little bit. And I just really liked that, because it felt very in character, and, Melanie Scrofano's face. That is all. That's all I have to say about that.
Mine is still anything with baby girl. which happened in this episode. You okay, baby girl? Like, yeah, I'm done.
My favorite instance of that doesn't come till the end of season 2, but every single time that comes up, it is great.
Yeah, that's like just collectively my favorite thing, like from Wynonna to Waverly.
I thought it was a nice little nugget of a nice little breadcrumb that is not just leading into the forest into nowhere that they say about their mother used to come to that arch, because where else would you go, I guess. But I think we're going to see more about that in season 3, I assume. I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea what we're going to see in season 3, but I just can't wait for it.
We can speculate about season 3 forever and we'll probably be completely wrong.
Yes, correct.
I really, really liked at the end when Wynonna was talking about like how they would come to the arch, and she when Willa disappeared, like the tree got struck by lightning, which is like pretty symbolic, and now she wants to plant a new one in honor of not the like batshit crazy Willa, but like the one that she grew up with, who was probably also a little batshit crazy, but like not as bad.
Less murdery.
Less murdery, more torture Waverly.
Question. I'm sure along the way somewhere probably like assumed this of him, but this is the first time they like blatantly confirmed that Ward was abusive, is it not? Like physically abusive?
I believe so. I think previous to this, we just thought that he was emotionally abusive and maybe primarily to Waverly. I think the only other reason that we got for their mother leaving was his drinking.
Right.
But I believe that is accurate.
Well, we also in the flashback where he's like forcing Willa to like shoot Peacemaker in like the middle of the night for stuff like that was pretty emotionally abusive.
Well, that's psychologically. I mean, he's just a dick.
This is not our first cue that he is a bastard. It's our first cue that he hit their mother.
Yes.
And maybe them. I think it speaks a lot about Wynonna's character that even to the end, she tries to reason with Willa. She tried to reason with Bobo. Like, she tries to solve the problems without being that crazy chick with a gun.
Yeah, without the violence.
Yeah. And
that's some OG Clark Griffin shit.
Ooh, ooh.
I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. Or I could have and made a reference that I understood. And that's, one of the bajillion differences between her and Willa. Willa's like, let's shoot Pete. Wynonna's like, let me reason with this revenant. I don't know. I really like the actress who plays Lucado. Kate Drummond is just so perfect. She's just so icy. And then I really like how we do see her character change a bit. We learn a little more about her and get to know her a little better in season 2, which is awesome. I am so stoked to talk about season 2.
I also like that like Kate Drummond is just like a fan. Like,
yes.
Like on Twitter with Wynonna Earp, she was so much fun.
I tweeted something about, I think it might have been one of her outfits about the shoulder pads. It was not favorable, and she replied back to it, and I remember telling Jill, I'm like, oh my god, I hope she didn't take that personally. Like,
well, she doesn't control wardrobe.
I know. It was a long time ago, and I was very young. So naive, so emotional.
The funny thing is it actually like displays her skill as an actor, because Kate Drummond is delightful and so sweet, and Lucado not so much.
I agree with all of that. Do either of you have anything else to add about this episode? Holy shit, it was amazing. That's my final thought.
I mean, my final thought is like, this show is fucking amazing. Like, this is such a strong first season of a show. Like, a lot of times, like, a show is like, okay, and you kind of have to like struggle through like the first few episodes to like get into it. But like, this show is just strong from the start.
It was.
Like, I watched the pilot and I was like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I'm watching this show.
I felt like it knew what it wanted to be.
And it stayed true to that. Not to sound like a salty bitch, but it stayed true to that. I don't know.
Well, and there are some shows that start strong and then they like taper off, and then there are shows like, oh, Person of Interest, where you have to struggle through the first few episodes and then they like figure out what they want and it gets awesome. But like, this show is just like, oh no, we have this shit planned out and it's gonna be epic.
But luckily and potentially for your Supergirl rant, there are also shows that start off maybe not really knowing what they want to be, but they get to a point where then they definitely know what they want to be, and then they veer off that severely, and then somehow they find their way back in season 5.
They forget how to tell a story for a short while, and then they figure it out again.
Nothing specific though. I'm just clearly being very generic with that comment. I have no show in mind.
I mean, you could name, I don't know, 100 different shows that applies to. I'm sorry. I'm so proud of that joke.
That was great. Actually, I'm going to give it to you.
2.5 solid seasons, then a season and a half of complete shit.
I mean, 10 seconds or less, I promise. The problem with Supergirl is that it started out so good. Season 1 was amazing with regards to Supergirl. Season 2 was amazing for different characters. Season 3, it forgot all of that and just cared about misogynistic cape tricks.
That's what season 3s are for, sweetie.
I was going to say, I think that, like, if you're a CW show, like, your season 3 needs to be garbage. Wait, like, I think season 3 of Arrow that was garbage.
Wait, how many seasons is Legends of Tomorrow going into season 3?
You guys just finished season 3.
We just finished season 3.
I can't. Okay, well then that doesn't apply.
Okay, they're the exception that proves the rule.
All right, fair enough.
I feel like this has now turned into an episode of the Binge Doctor.
Sorry, guys.
I was gonna say I'm no expert, but I think your 10 seconds are up.
Hey, I said 10 seconds about 3 seasons of Supergirl. I stuck to what I said.
I took that off course. Anyway, we should wrap this up.
We should. We kind of joked that we had hoped to talk about season 1, and I'm just gonna say for my wrap up of season 1, it was fucking amazing. And I was like, this is the best thing I'll ever see. And then Emily Andress was like, hold my goo. Like, season 2 was even better. It's just, this show just makes me so happy. For so many reasons.
Agreed.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Mama Earp and all more about this cult of Bullshar. And it's going to be a lot.
Wow. If you've made it this far, you get a fucking medal, guys. Thank you for listening.
We did have some pretty incredible feedback from Kevin over at Tales of the Black Badge. You guys all know him. This is extremely heartfelt, and I just wanted to say also thank you, Kevin, for the amount of support that you've given us. You've been an incredible resource as well as friend. So this is what Kevin had to say about the season 1 finale of Wynonna Earp.
Hey everyone, Kevin Batchelder here. I wanted to get in a message for you with my thoughts on the season 1 finale. I mean, how cool was all the stuff that happened in this episode? I'm sure as you folks have been talking about, there is just so much in here. I mean, it's funny in hindsight now, having had a season 2 finale too to be able to watch. We realize that Emily puts 2 episodes worth of content into her finale. So at the time, we didn't really know that for the first one. But boy, oh boy, did we, or at least for me, have to do multiple watches just to grasp all the plot and character stuff that went on. But it's pretty amazing things. You could talk about just certain parts of this thing for an hour each. There's so much here. And at the time when it aired, we had no idea. This could have been it. The ratings weren't great. We hadn't heard anything on possibilities of coming back. We wouldn't for another 3 weeks after this aired. So I guess there's also some emotional stuff going back to that really makes me have such fond memories of realizing that we got lucky to get more and how amazing it's been. And I know the 3 of you and many of the listeners know that the Earp sisters are my jam. So I have to talk about the forehead kiss scene. Because it's just one quick scene out of an amazing amount in an episode. But for me, that really just encapsulated so much about why this show was special, how the Earpers and everything around the show that we've been able to experience is just so special. You have that time when the 2 of them, everything's going wrong and all this stuff is happening and they're concerned about each other and want to make sure that they're safe, but they realize they do have things they have to do. It is a situation that's bigger than just the 2 of them, and they have to split up. And just the way it played out on screen, just to me, just meant so much, but also meant so much about why the show is special and their relationship is in terms of trusting each other and doing what's right, even if it might not be what you want to do in the moment. It was so perfect. And it was amazing about a week after this aired that we had Emily on our podcast, and I naturally, spewed fanboyish about how much I love the scene. and how perfect it was with no dialogue. And she mentioned that they had stuff scripted and were going to shoot, some dialogue there, but they saw what it was and realized it was better without it. And it's just so funny. We've heard this, probably many of us, on other TV shows or movies sometimes, how scenes might have been different with decisions made. And that's certainly one that I can't imagine there being any dialogue there. I mean, I don't know. It's just so perfect as is. So that was just really special to hear that. And many of you know, too, that I get emotional. I'm doing okay so far in this message, talking about that scene for that same reason, because it just meant so much. It encapsulated all that happened with the Earpers and has continued to happen in the show and this cast and everything else, into just a single moment. I mean, sometimes when you have a show that means a lot to you or something, you just see that one moment or one thing that happened. Sometimes it's a big thing, it might be in a relationship you have with someone, you have that big event, that might be the thing you remember or in a show. And sometimes it's just the small moments. And this is a case of where that one moment just meant so much along with a ton of other great stuff. And I can't help but go back and think about it because it's just all that's right with the show and the fandom and what's going on here. In terms of the trust between the two of them and how much they cared and no words necessary, just a look and just a simple kiss. I mean, it's pretty amazing. So I'm babbling on. I mean, it went over the top for me, as a lot of you know, when we had the amazing and was so blessed to have the amazing experience to do the set visit and, seeing the actors we love actually shooting was amazing, seeing iconic stuff like the Earp mailbox and the homestead, and Nedley's couch, all those things was wonderful. But when the time came when we were doing a walking tour of some of the outdoor shooting things and we came around a corner and I saw that wall, it rushes as it is now because it just meant so much, and you got a 57-year-old guy standing on a public street in a small town, leaning against a wall, crying. And I'm okay with it because it's so important. And it's a case of us all, with all the shit that goes on in the real world, sometimes you just get to have something that is as good as you could hope something could be. And that's really what this Earper experience has been like and what Wynonna Earp has been like. So, for me, it is that, and I'm cool with that. I'm okay with it. It's okay to be emotional, and I'm fine. And I hope everyone takes whatever they can, enjoys it, because you never know in life when things are going to go wrong or something bad happens or whatever. So when you get something this good and this pure, man, just grab it and don't let go. And that's what I've done with that scene and this experience. So I love hearing the three of you talk about the show and all. So really appreciate the time that goes into it. It is so much fun. And thanks again for doing it. So take care, everyone.
Next week or next podcast that we record, which might be next week, I don't know, we like to keep you on your toes. We're going to talk about episode 201, which is named probably something really clever that ties into the actual episode in a way that you won't see coming, but will make sense after you see it. If you have any feedback about that episode, this episode, us in general, whatever, you can reach out to us. You can email us at somethingintheair@gmail.com. You can tweet at or DM us at ErpsPlainPod. You can leave us a voicemail at 876. That's not right.
Just keep going. No, I love it. We'll just leave that.
It's 976 Wynonna. That's our voicemail, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to leave us a voicemail, you can go to our website, ErpsPlainPod, and hit the contact tab, and it will have that phone number on it.
978-871-0098, is that right?
678.
Damn it! Hey, I got really
Just
close.
move on. Oh my god, it doesn't matter. No one uses it.
No one does use it. What else, guys?
Twitter.
Yeah, we're on the Twitter. If you're looking for me, I am Lesbianzer.
You can find BP at Beepsplain.
And me at MoNicMic1291, and the general podcast is ErpsPlainPod.
Which I definitely already just said. So thank you.
Oh, you can cut that out.
No, please don't.
Oh my god. Just everyone stop. And okay, thanks for shit shows. Bye.
Hey Earpers, we are going to be off next week, so instead we're going to be doing a giveaway. Just tune into our Twitter, ErpsPlainPod.com, on Wednesday or throughout the week to see how you can win an autographed photo of Tamara Duarte.